In the 4th episode of SEVDİİM SENSİN, tensions continue to rise. It all begins when Dila sees Urkan and Borchin kissing. With tears in her eyes, she hears Borchin telling Urkan that she loves him. Urkan tries to calm her down and says that everything will be fine and that she won't get hurt again. Borchin, very happy, hugs him and says that the two of them will be happy again, just like they were in the old days. But while they are embracing, Urkan notices that Dila is there, watching everything. With tears in her eyes, Dila says that the promise he made was a lie, and that in the end, he is going to divorce her. At that moment, Borchin is completely shocked when she hears the word divorce. She tries to understand what is going on and asks Urkan for an explanation, but he cannot say anything. Instead, he walks over to Dila and says that he was going to tell her the whole truth. However, Dila does not accept it. She reminds him that he promised he would never divorce her and asks in deep pain if she means so little to him. By then, Borchin also has tears in her eyes and asks for an explanation. But Urkan remains silent, not knowing what to say. Then Borchin receives a phone call from her mother. On the other end of the line, she says that if Borchin has even a bit of pride, she needs to leave immediately, because the whole country is already talking about Urkan's marriage. Borchin is shocked when she finds this out. Furious, she looks at Urkan and insults him, asking how he was capable of marrying a peasant. Urkan tries to defend himself and says that it is not a real marriage and that he never wanted to deceive anyone. But Borchin has reached her limit. Without wanting to hear anything else, she takes off her engagement ring, gives it back to Urkan, and says he can give it to his peasant wife. After that, she leaves without looking back. Meanwhile, Esat confronts his wife. At first, she thinks he has found out about the meeting she had with Fikret, but that is not the case. In fact, Esat has just discovered that all the news channels are talking about Urkan and Dila's marriage. Very nervous, he asks who leaked that information and how they could possibly fix the situation. His wife is surprised because until that moment, she knew nothing about it. She had no idea that the entire country was already talking about their son's marriage. Filled with anger, Esat orders the entire family to gather immediately to discuss what happened and find a solution as quickly as possible. But before she even enters the house, she receives a message from Fikret. And along with the message, there is a photo of the two of them together. It was blackmail. After everything that happened, Urkan goes after Borchin to try to explain that the marriage was fake. But when he gets outside the house, he finds a crowd of reporters waiting in front of the gate. The situation has completely gotten out of control. Without answering any questions, Urkan simply goes back inside the house and starts looking for Dila. But before he can find her, he is interrupted by the maids, who tell him that his father is waiting for him for an urgent conversation. Soon the whole family gathers together. During the argument, Urkan's mother tries to blame Dila, saying that she was the one who spread the news about the marriage. But Urkan does not believe that for a second and defends Dila, saying she would never do such a thing. Then Esat speaks and orders Urkan to immediately go after Borchin to explain the entire situation. And to make sure his son obeys, he makes a cruel threat. He says that if Urkan does not reconcile with Borchin, he will lock Dila in the storage room and even send Urkan to prison. Later, while talking with his friends, Urkan asks Kore to find out who leaked the news of the marriage to the media. At the same time, worried about Dila's safety, Urkan looks for Kadir and asks him to find her brother, take his gun, and lock him in the storage room. After all, by that moment, he had probably already found out about the marriage, and possibly about the divorce as well. After that, Urkan goes looking for Dila, but when she realizes he is coming, she hides inside the wardrobe. Dila does not want him to see her because she is planning to run away. She even manages to leave the house without anyone noticing. But when she reaches the entrance, she finds several reporters waiting outside. Scared and completely terrified, she cannot say a single word. At that moment, Urkan appears. Quickly, he wraps her in a protective embrace and takes her back inside the house. Urkan says she cannot leave because if she does, he will not be able to protect her. But Dila replies that she no longer believes a single word he says, and even says that it would have been better to die at the hands of her own brother than to be saved by him. Urkan loses his patience and interrupts. Enough. Then he picks her up in his arms and carries her back inside the house. Dila struggles to get free, but she cannot. When they enter, everyone in the house is shocked by the scene. Even so, Urkan warns them that no one should follow them. He takes her straight to the bedroom, closes the door, and says she needs to stay there. But Dila stubbornly replies that she will escape no matter what. Urkan answers that if necessary, he will lock the door. After the two calm down a bit, they sit on the sofa. Urkan apologizes for her finding out about the divorce that way. He explains that he did not tell her before because he was afraid of scaring her, and promises that everything will go back to normal. Dila, with tears in her eyes, cannot say anything. Then Urkan breaks the silence and says something unexpected, that she does not love him either, and that what she is feeling is not love. He tries to explain that until now, no one had ever truly cared about her, and that he was the only person who tried to help her. Urkan says he had tried to explain this before, and that he never wanted to give her false hope or hurt her. At that moment, he tries to hold her hand, but Dila pulls away and remains silent. A short time later, Urkan leaves the house to go after Borchin. But in the garden, he runs into Jivan, who is furious. The two begin arguing, and the situation quickly turns into a fight. Suddenly, Jivan pulls out a gun and points it at Urkan. Urkan reacts quickly, disarms him, and ends up pointing the gun back at him. The argument becomes more and more tense, until Kadir appears and tries to stop Urkan from doing something reckless. Meanwhile, Urkan keeps trying to contact Borchin, but all his attempts fail. Until, after insisting a lot, he manages to convince her driver to send him their location. Urkan is determined to fix everything and try to recover his engagement, giving his relationship with Borchin another chance, even though deep down he knows he no longer loves her. And once again, we see a very cute moment in the series. Jivan was working as Nulufer's driver and was taking her to her destination. But when he could not understand the name of the address, she had to type it into the GPS. When she did that, she ended up getting very close to him, and Jivan suddenly lost his breath. To try to compose himself, he even had to stop the car and step outside for a few moments. Unlike their first meeting in the previous episode, this time Nulufer was much friendlier, and at times even gifted Jivan with her beautiful smile. Meanwhile, at the house, Dila tries to unlock the bedroom door using a needle, but the attempt fails. Shortly after, one of the maids arrives bringing her food. The woman is surprised to see the mess Dila made with the papers that were on the table. While the maid tries to organize everything, Dila takes advantage of the open door and escapes from the room. When she enters another room in the house, she comes across a robotic vacuum cleaner and is completely surprised. The moment is even quite funny because Dila tries to move away from the device while telling it not to come near her, until she finally manages to leave the room. Meanwhile, Tahir decides to hire a detective to discover some secret or dirt about Fikret and harm him. He even tells the detective that if he cannot find anything, he can create some kind of evidence to be used against Fikret. All this thirst for revenge started after Tahir was blackmailed by him. And the most curious thing is that this same detective was recommended to Urkan to discover who leaked the news about the marriage to the media. What neither of the two brothers knows is that this detective works together with Fatosh, Borchin's mother. While hiding around the house, Dila ends up entering the hammam, where Urkan's mother was. Without being seen, she overhears a phone conversation between the woman and Fikret. During the call, she says that no one knows that it was she who asked him to bring Dila's brothers to Istanbul. She also admits that she lied to her own son, and that if the family discovers the truth, she could lose everything. So she demands that Fikret get rid of that photo and stop blackmailing her immediately. Meanwhile, Urkan finally manages to find Borchin, and explains the whole reason that led him to marry Dila. After clearing up the misunderstanding, he places the engagement ring back on her finger. Later, Dila tells Kadir everything she heard from the conversation between Erkan's mother and Fikret. During her emotional outburst, she says that after the divorce, Urkan will no longer be able to protect her, and that sooner or later her brothers will find her. At that moment, Kadir grabs her arm and says firmly, "I have a plan." Shortly afterward, the whole family is gathered together. Borchin demands that the engagement ceremony take place the very next day. The family lawyer explains that to reverse the media scandal, Dila will have to give a statement in front of the cameras explaining that her marriage to Urkan was fake. And to everyone's surprise, Dila enters the room at that exact moment, saying that she accepts doing the interview. By Urkan's order, Dila begins sleeping in the same bedroom as him. She stays on a sofa in a separate space while he sleeps in the bed. Before going to sleep, Urkan even locks the door, afraid that her brother might appear. But during the night, while Urkan is sleeping, Dila quietly approaches the bed, takes the key that was near his pillow, and manages to leave the room. She goes to the backyard and begins digging a hole. Then she takes the wedding dress and buries it there. While throwing dirt over the dress, Dila says several painful words, without realizing that Urkan has arrived and heard everything. With an emotional voice he says, "You will be happy, Dila. I promise you will be very happy." And he continues, saying that one day she will wear a much more beautiful dress, beside a man who truly loves her. Dila says nothing. She simply leaves, leaving Urkan alone. In another very sweet moment, one of Urkan's friends meets with Dila. She brings some new clothes and says she will help her get ready for the interview that will happen during the engagement. Once ready, Dila walks down the stairs and runs into Urkan. When he sees her, he completely loses his breath. His eyes travel from head to toe, completely mesmerized. But Borchin notices immediately and, out of jealousy, pulls him away from Dila. During the ceremony, Dila gives a very emotional speech in front of the cameras, surprising everyone with her words. Later, when Urkan tries to approach her, he is interrupted by Fikret. Fikret proposes becoming a partner in Urkan's company, but Urkan refuses. Then Fikret reveals his true intention. He says that if Urkan does not accept the offer, Ferman will shoot him, and also shoot Dila. According to Fikret, Ferman is already waiting for a signal to act. With nothing he can do at that moment, Urkan says they will talk later and asks them to leave. As the engagement ceremony continues, Dila watches the exchange of rings with tears in her eyes. Meanwhile, Jivan, who had been tied up by Kadir and locked in a room to prevent him from doing something reckless, finally manages to free himself. In the final moments of the episode, Fatosh speaks with Isat and gives him an important warning. She says she was very moved by Dila's story, and that from her eyes, it is clear how much she loves Urkan. And she warns him, "Do not underestimate Dila. If all this suffering turns against you, the situation could become very complicated." We also see the sister of a maid who was in the house that day. While everyone is distracted with the ceremony, she enters a room, takes a valuable piece of jewelry, and hides it among the blankets on the sofa where Dila usually sleeps. Later, Urkan finds Dila sitting on a bench in the backyard. He sits beside her, asks how she is, and says she looked very beautiful that night. He also asks if she wants to talk in case she is feeling lonely, but Dila answers coldly, saying that he should return to his fiancée and not leave her alone. Even so, Urkan insists that even after the divorce, he does not intend to abandon her. He says she will continue living in that house, so he can protect her from Ferman. Dila thanks him, but says that will no longer be necessary, because she and Kadir are going to get married. The episode ends with Urkan completely shocked, with tears in his eyes, watching Dila walk toward Kadir. And that was another summary of the series SEVDİİM SENSİN. Leave a comment telling me what you thought about how this story is unfolding, and if you enjoyed the video, Do not forget to leave your like. Your support is very important for the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.